Well, hello. So I had a meeting today. It was like a 4-hour meeting with the dude that runs the company that's doing this assessment I did with the psychology tests. I admitted now, I thought I might talk about that. On the other hand, I'm going to take a short walk. I also thought I might just focus on the walk and make the video about my experience with this testing and assessment afterwards in my office. So we'll see, who knows. But I got some boots so that I could walk wherever I want and didn't have to wander around so much and end up getting my feet wet anyway. So this should keep my feet dry. I got them half price at LL Bean. I tell you, I consider the fact that LL Bean is a Maine company one of the perks of living in Maine. Oh, one thing I noticed about my other walk and talk is that the sounds of my footsteps were a lot louder than I thought they would be. Lily, you just walk right in the water? Don't you have any care whatsoever? She says, my feet are boots. Fur boots. So, part of me just wanted to go upstairs and get to work. But, you know, I really have a lot of reasons to get my first version, my developer version, up. But anyway, yeah, my footprint sounds were really loud the other time. I don't know what I can do about that. Maybe figure out where the... Whoa! Yeah, I can walk wherever I want. Doesn't mean I stand up. Geez, I just started like 3 things. One, I got my boots half price. That was great. I think I said that. My footsteps were really loud the other time. Don't know what I can do about that except for maybe figure out where the mic is on this thing. So, I've named my camera. It's called Gary Vision because it's both a camera given to me by Gary. How generous is that guy? Very generous. And I haven't worn the bolo tie yet, but I will. And used lasers in the camera. I'm using the camera. So not only is it Gary Vision for that reason, but also I think it's fair to say Gary is associated with the walk and talk, as is conference report. But I'm not going to call it conference report or Fred Vision because oh, Gary gave it to me. So anyway, yeah, I think I'm going to go back to not filming myself, and I'll just film the woods as I go. I think the mic must be in the front, because I thought it was much quieter when I turned the camera away. Look, I could just walk right in this if I want. No problem. This is awesome. Yep, feet are totally dry. If you were worried about that, don't worry. So, this conversation with this guy was pretty life-changing. I mean, for one, I've never really appreciated those psychology tests. I think I mentioned that before. But this was really good. I mean, the guy is not telling me what I want to hear. He's not telling me just what I don't want to hear. He was really, I think, making a wise assessment of the situation. And I felt that the dude is an ally. And the idea is for him to give me an assessment of myself from the point of view of what I might be strong or weak in terms of starting a consulting business. And I didn't really, you know, get anything that I wasn't, you know, somewhat prepared to understand. It wasn't anything totally revelatory, like, you know, in that sense. But yeah, you know, I've sometimes wondered if maybe I have Asperger's. And I've had psychologists, friends, and even people that were quite familiar with the autism scale assure me no. The people with this disorder have a certain kind of mental framework that is not my mental framework, and think I probably have to accept that at this point. So, I don't want to just go through and suddenly share my own psychological assessment per se, but on the other hand, I do want to share sort of a gist of what I think I've learned about myself. Now, see, is this not just great? This is the kind of stuff you'll walk on and then suddenly you'll find out that it's actually, like 8 inches deep and full of water. So this one is dry. And this stuff just stays green, this mossy ground cover just stays green during the winter underneath the snow, I guess. And then as soon as the snow melts, green. So, yeah, but contrary to my suspicions that I might be slightly autistic, and that explains my obsessive nature when it comes to facts, data, and the fidelity of my idea construction, is that, well, belying all that, is the fact that I tested really well on emotional intelligence, the so-called EQ. And I had some revelations, because I've noticed I read people pretty well in my life, but I don't really act on this ability. I don't really take advantage of it. One reason, or the reason, is that I've always felt kind of like it was manipulative, or like if I read somebody, it feels kind of judgmental and possibly demeaning to that person for me to put too much stock in that judgment. And sort of it's contrary to my egalitarian nature. But I realized that, you have to, and I've been realizing for a couple years now, that treating everybody as your equal can also be trying to shove everybody into the mold of your own expectations. To sort of psychologically read somebody and then deny what you figured out, what you've learned, well, that felt like giving them another chance, being open-minded, trying to get a statistical sample before coming to a conclusions. But really, this has led to some problems. For example, that guy that was the methadone addict that I let too close into my life and cost my daughter her life. Yeah, who did I do a favor there to? I mean, I sized him up as a loser right away, but I'm like, I don't believe in winner losers, and probably all, young men have a chance to look that way to me, and, I don't want to be closed-minded or overly judgmental. So who did I do a favor to? Not him, not myself, not my daughters, and certainly not other young men that might actually have their shit together. Not fair to other young men like myself that are more responsible and that wouldn't have let such a thing befall under my sponsorship. And I realized I had a little mini epiphanies where I realized that, when I figure out what somebody's feeling and what their actual angle is, that they're coming from, that they're approaching a problem with, that they've communicated with me. And for me to ignore that is like ignoring what they've said to me, which I wouldn't do. But similarly, taking someone's word for what they say, they feel, and what they say is the angle that they're approaching things with, that also isn't necessarily helping them. I mean, people say all sorts of things. Climbing over logs here. Also is not doing them any favors. I mean, they're just expressing themselves at the moment. If somebody says, I don't know, I need time to think on it, I'm inclined to go, okay, I'll get back with you tomorrow. Whereas it's quite possible that, those are just the words that came out of their mouth. They might be confused. It might be better to ask them if they'd like me to clarify anything, to ask them what is unclear, just as an example. Because the basic thing is you want to take everything you see and hear of a communicative nature, be it body language, be it intentional or unintentional, that this is all information. And to ignore that, sort of in the name of, interesting, what's this old thing, I think? This is a new spot, haven't been here, old bucket. Well, it isn't necessarily especially egalitarian, really. It isn't really giving people another chance. It's more just like ignoring people and lacking empathy. Right? Empathy is to go ahead and accept this vibe you're receiving. And even though you might make some mistakes, there's nothing, I've sort of felt that to uphold my integrity of treating people fairly, that I would just have to give them another chance. But another chance at what? At seeming more like the person that I would respect more or something? I mean, this is lacking empathy. I mean, real empathy is not waiting around until somebody impresses you. Real empathy is to understand people for who they actually are. And possibly being compassionate. And realizing that they don't need to impress me. I don't need to be impressed. I don't need to not be impressed just because they haven't satisfied what my ultimate goals for people are. Some of those goals are really just for me. And other ones are just there to guide my search. And it's not manipulative to read where someone's coming from. So see, I always feel like, well, if I read where someone's coming from, I should disclose it right away. I shouldn't just keep it in my head. I should give them feedback, give them a chance to change that impression or build a different impression or just get feedback on how they're impressing me. And as I say, I think it's better just to probably... lovely. To listen to what they have to say and appreciate people for what they are. And it's not manipulative unless I use it malevolently. So, of course, the testing showed that I'm highly into ideas and facts. And that on action-oriented and empathetic measures, I'm not being empathetic. Because though I'm compassionate and I care about people, this giving people factual feedback or feedback on my factual data collection is, as I'm trying to say, it's not necessarily the egalitarian or it's not the liberal thing to do. It might be quite a lot better to accept the information that I get as the information that it is and appreciate people as I find them. And this is all, this assessment is all with an eye to helping me start my own business and become a contractor. And it's sort of like I've always, for a long time, as long as I can remember, I've had I could say mixed feelings, but they haven't really been that mixed. I really disvalue first impressions because there's nothing less statistically valid than a single impression. And it's so often they're important, and in a business where you're trying to sell your services, collecting first impressions as well as giving first impressions, is a major part of the success or potential success of such a thing. Ooh, it looks like there's a river or something over here. Totally new part of the forest. Hopefully this won't be a video discovered next to my dead body after I get lost in the woods. Just kidding, I'm not worried about that. No, it's just the end of a hill. No river. So I sort of got a message to be confident in my ability to read people and to act on my impressions. And if they're negative or if it's an impression that's not working out, that there's no compassion really in saying to myself, oh, well, maybe it could work out. Well, maybe, this company is a right fit for me and I'm a right fit for them. Doesn't seem like it, but let's try again. Let's waste time trying again and again and again. That's not compassion or empathy. It occurred to me today. But it would be better for me simply to have that confidence. And the reason there was a mini epiphany is because, you see, I many times have read people and read situations and read them correctly. But I've soldiered on through to see if it's different than what I collect, only to find that it is as I had assessed. Only to find that maybe I've wasted time, that I've given up the chance to act on my impressions, sort of in a failed hope to be better to people, to not be one of the assholes that ruins the world. And I think that was good for my past. I don't think that was a mistake. There's been certain hard lessons that came from it, absolutely. But I don't think I was in a position to be any other way. I had to learn what that was like. But now, I think the best thing that I can do for the world is to rely on those impressions and to act on them. And so if I make a mistake of making a judgment incorrectly, that's unavoidable. That's going to happen anyway. And that there's no reason really to wait around to get it wrong. I might as well act on those things and take... What the heck, Lily? Lily, get out. Don't drink that. Are you crazy? You have a water bowl. Why do you like the dirty water so much? You're not supposed to go into a bog and drink the water. She disagrees. She thinks that is what you're supposed to do. Well, I don't like it. Don't do that. Oh, who's a good dog? So, it gave me a lot of confidence. The other thing is, I've been wondering, well, should I sell my services really cheap? Should I sell them really expensive? And I have to sell things expensive because if I have a problem, some of my things that were in the danger zone was being too careful about the facts, being too, I'm cautious. Like if I was a doctor, I'd be better off as a surgeon than an ER doctor. Because I don't like winging it. I don't like winging it. I like being prepared, collecting the data, analyzing it, reanalyzing it. That's just the way I am, and I'm going to still be that way. And you can't sell yourself for cheap if you're the person who focuses on always getting it right. Instead, you need to find the people that want things done right. You've got to work with them. Now, that doesn't mean I can't give people deals, and that's the beauty of my goal here of doing open source. Because I could do that for free and give away quality for free. And I can give discounts. And I am starting a business. It's just more like, well, I'm going to have to say, hey, here's my rate. Now, I'll give it to you at 50% because I'm trying to get clients. And not doing that as a marketing ploy, but really, these are my rates, and I'm giving you them cheap because I'm getting started. You're getting a deal in that respect. As opposed to just come across as a reasonably priced dude. Now, I've come to the realization I needed to have a little bit more of that attitude a while ago. Because I realized people just really don't respect you when you give them too much of a discount. And I was talking to this guy, and I'm like, dude, I'm not greedy. I don't need that much money. Software engineers are pretty well paid. I could take a third of the going rate and still live a comfortable lifestyle of the kind I want. But there's communication involved with that, right? There's a self-valuing. There's people don't believe that could be quality when you sell yourself that way. Another thing I was curious about is, often professionally, I'll be in a room of people, and it'll be, this isn't just my impression, this happens over and over. I'll be the only one in the room that really knows what everybody is thinking on the topic, what the angle they're coming from. And yet it could seem to them often that I'm not listening. And I liken it to this. I think I've done that just because it's like, hey, I'm getting your point, I'm listening, I got your point, great, you got it in the first minute. And people want to explain in another couple minutes. And I realize it's kind of like if somebody's playing you, let's say somebody's auditioning for you. Let's say you have a cafe, you're hiring a musician, and somebody's auditioning. Lily, don't lose track of me. Oh, you're good. Let's say you listen to 1 minute of their song and you're like, this is awesome, I've heard all I need to do. You're hired, and you interrupt them and stop them. Well, they're not going to feel like you listened to them. And it doesn't matter if you say, no, I understood, I did listen, I got the idea of the song is this, and it was about a love, and this is your feelings, and here's all the emotion. I could get all of that right. They're still going to feel like they weren't listened to. Because listening and communication is not just about transferring that data. It's also like a relationship. It's like it's like a song. There's tempo to it. There's finishing. The person, it's not enough for them to have got the message across. They also want to feel like they finished their transmission. They want to feel like, oh, some more ice. Like their version of the protocol. They want to be able to have a beginning, middle, and an end. And he was pointing out that, well, I measured really high on my ability to read what people are getting at, with their emotional state, and recognizing emotions and what emotions people are having. And so that might mean that I do get the message really quickly. That doesn't mean I should cut off the musician in the middle of their song. Doesn't mean that's compassionate. Doesn't mean that they should consider that as as successful communication automatically, right? And it doesn't mean just because I see that. See, I felt like if I don't disclose back to that, I was saying this earlier, if I don't disclose back to that person what I'm learning from what they're saying, I feel like I'm not being honest with them. But in reality, that's not what people want. I've started to realize that's not what people want, but I've kind of thought, yeah, but should I give in to what people want when it's not honest, or should I teach them what it's like to be honest? And today I sort of realized that it's not dishonest to wait for the whole message. It's not everybody, rates high. on those tests? Is it really the best, friendliest, most honest thing in the world that if I'm getting data that other people don't see, people that are present, that I should throw that data all back in their face right away? I mean, they already missed it. Maybe there's a reason they missed it. Are they going to get it just because I say it back to them? And I'm a thinker. I'm a fact collector. So I should probably just collect those facts. Right? And collect those facts and think about them. You know, put them in the brain, give myself time to think. I know it's good to take my time to think, so just because I get my preliminary results quickly and they're reliable, that doesn't mean I have to throw them back on people. And that it's probably more compassionate and more empathetic to just file all this information and let people take their time. And it might seem slow to me, and that's true. Sometimes I'm just bothered and it's like excruciatingly slow. It's like, yes, I got it. But then by trying to rush them, there's all this friction from the rush. You know, there's friction from the rushing process. And that friction itself slows things down. If I cut the musician off 1 minute into their 4-minute song, and then we argue for 10 minutes about whether that was polite or rude, we get into a situation where I have to explain for a half an hour that I really was listening, that I really did appreciate what they shared, then I haven't actually saved any time at all. And that really, I could improve people's experiences communicating with me, get just as much information, and in the long run, not waste any more time, or waste less time, let's put it that way, by letting them finish. It could seem excruciating to wait for something to finish only to find out what you already knew, but I think there's a lot of benefits. And I think in my current situation, where I'm going to want to be basically interviewing a lot. Hello, trees. Look at all these ice cold bogs. I don't know what else to call them. Is that what they should be called? Snow marsh? I don't know. I think this is something I could probably apply to my regular life, but I don't know about that, but it's definitely is something that made me visualize how I can make this all work, how I can deal with all the people out there and the way other people think, and keep my integrity as I see it. You know, because I just don't like blowing smoke up people's ass. If people say an idea and I already get it and it's like, no, I don't like that idea. Here's where you're coming from. We've got to do it a different way. If I wait to say that, I've always kind of felt, well, that's dishonest. I'm just standing here waiting to tell them that I disagree with their idea. Why not save them the effort? It's like, well, I guess today I kind of realized, well, I guess the answer to why you do that is sort of obvious. It's because they don't want to hear that you disagree with them when they don't think you actually listen to them. If you are going to disagree with them, you have all the more reason to give them that extra 4 minutes and to not be a jerk about having figured out that, what they were saying ahead of time. Let them finish. Doesn't really matter if you ever find out that it turns out that they're thinking something different. Doesn't matter that you know for a fact that they really have already made their point. But if I won't consider myself empathetic or compassionate, that should include letting them finish. Even though finishing means telling me over and over something that I already got in the first 30 seconds. So I was actually quite surprised at the feedback I got. And we had it was supposed to be a couple hour, 2.5 hour, something like that conversation. We ended up talking for 4 hours. We didn't quite finish. And I found it really bracing. And I feel that what I learned is going to help me succeed in my latest endeavors. And that altering my behaviors in some respects is not the same as altering my standards. That listening in a different way, the overcoming the feeling of excruciating slowness that is the process of conversing with other people, is not giving up my integrity, in that it's not being dishonest. It's not the same as being dishonest. Shitloads of deer out here, which I know from the shit. I haven't seen any deer back here yet, but I see shitloads of shitloads. So, this is something I can take and use, but probably even more important, it just gives me a sense of calmness and a sense of I don't panic, a sense of timing, because everything is timing, and everything is timing and lack of panic. All success is a matter of timing, and panic is the enemy of good timing. So that's what I learned. Now I think I will go now and simply enjoy the rest of my walk as a walk without talking to the camera. But thank you for watching. Assuming you did, which you must have if you saw me, thank you. Because it's at the end of the video. Cheers.